First of all, you don't know me.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team. Drama queens, smart girl, rough girl, fashion but you're tough girl. You could sit with us, girl. Drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens, drama queens. Let's talk, friends. That's a good way to get started. Hi, Rob.
Hey, Joy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. Guys, you have Rob and I today, and we've got a Q&A for you. Yeah, I'm doing well. Maria's like in her first days of school. So far, so good. We're trying to implement a new schedule because she's a bit neurodivergent like me and, can have a hard time like getting the homework done, or it's always like, oh, I forgot that this was due. And why didn't you use your planner? I didn't know where the planner was, like all the things. So I had to write up this contract. It's like a parental contract. Like if you sign your name to something, you're making a commitment. So the understanding of that. And then like, here's what the schedule is going to be like. You're waking up at 5:50, you stretch. Then at 6:15, you have to make sure you're getting ready. And then at 7:15, you're eating breakfast. And then after school. And it's very regimented, which is not something I ever had to do. And I kind of feel bad for implementing it for her, but it's working so far.
Yeah, listen, I watched my older sibling not do well in school and get in trouble. And I think from an early age, I just learned the lesson of like, I will just be hard on myself so that no one else has to be hard on me. So I was like a self-starter. However, I will tell you, as an adult at least, I would thrive with that kind of structure and planning in my day.
Yes, I think so too. If I need a babysitter. Like, where's my mom? I need my mom to live here near me, except I couldn't because our relationship's too complicated. I would be annoyed with her. Like my daughter's annoyed with me. But if I hired a babysitter to come and just like put me on a schedule, like the child ADHD brain in me needs that somehow.
I love the predictability. Like, give me an airtight, I'm not this way on like vacations per se, but give me an airtight itinerary for a day. And there is a part of me that adores it because it feels safe. Safety. It feels predictable.
Yeah, I get that. You didn't do that in school, or did you do that in school?
No, I did not. Like I said, I sort of just motivated myself, and it was all self-discipline. Like my parents never had to crack down on me. I learned to be hard on myself. I was my first critic, and I was a harsh one. So I did well, and I never needed it. But now as an adult, I find, especially now as a parent, I've just learned I love a good plan. I love structure. I'm a structure guy, and I love predictability. Yeah. And it's been a big thing I've had to work on especially as a parent, when the day doesn't go the way you think it does, which as a parent is about 95% of the time, I would have a really hard time. I'd have a big emotional reaction. So I had to do a lot of work around that with just being fluid, being okay.
Yeah, I know.
And there's no greater teacher than children.
That is so true. Boundaries, creating the safe space to like, I actually feel like I'm so much more productive under a schedule because if I just let my brain go, like all creatives want to do, we just want to wander and be free and do whatever. And yet somehow I feel like I don't accomplish very much. I'm unable to feel good about the things that I do accomplish because I think I could have done so much more because I'm also hard on myself. And when there's boundaries in place, it's like you're not just throwing a ball onto a field with a bunch of people and going, play something, because then there's no rules, there's no foul lines, there's no boundaries, there's no nothing. And once I have those in place, then I can run free and play well. So I'm hoping I can really instill that in my daughter, although once you're 13, you're basically cooked. But she's a good kid. It's just, we're trying to figure out the schedule.
I noticed you are wearing a very striking lipstick today. What's the occasion?
Thank you. I was just sent some Thrive Cosmetics lipstick in the mail, and I thought it would be fun to wear on our podcast.
Look at our organic plugs. That wasn't even set up, listener. I just genuinely thought, that's a beautiful color lipstick. Joy, were you going to see someone at the coffee shop you were hoping to? Was there a new teacher you were hoping to say hello to? I was curious.
No, I just I saw it sitting on the counter, and I was like, I'm going to throw on my Thrive lip color. I'll throw a little snap up on my IG so all of you friends can see it. But speaking of structure and speaking of having a plan, we have our first question from Emmeline, and she's asking what your character's ideal way to spend a weekend off would be, considering their personal interests and quirks. Now, do you want structure on your weekend like this, or do you want to just like brain dead check out?
Are we talking about for me in real life?
Oh, right. She's asking about Clay. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, all right, fine. Let's talk about Clay.
I think Clay would be a staycation kind of guy.
Yeah.
I could see Clay doing either a hotel room and room service and just lounging, or even just at his beach house, ordering great delivery food, hanging out with Quinn. Like, I think he's a kind of a comfort homebody type.
I love that. That's surprising. I would think that Clay, but I guess because for work, he's always jetting off and traveling and doing things, that to have a weekend off and just be in his own space or be at home, there's a comfort in that.
And I'm also forecasting where we know Clay gets to. And I think we see in later seasons, Clay really kind of just becomes, there's a lot of like creature comforts he likes, and they're not flashy things. Like, he has a nice car, but the thing he loves the most is a lazy boy reclining chair, you know? So I feel like if you gave him free time, he'd be like, oh, 100%. It's me, Cherry, the new series on Netflix I want to binge, and a lot of pizza, you know?
Yes. I love that.
How about for Haley?
Yeah. I mean, I think, well, actually, I don't know that they're that dissimilar, because Haley's a hard worker. She's busy all the time. She's got her kids. She's got her husband. She seems to be the person that people come to for advice all the time and to help them solve her problems. She's tutor girl. She's got the students. Like, everybody is around, and she came from a big family, so she's used to having people around all the time. I think Haley, and this is probably what I would do if I didn't have a child, I think Haley jumps in her car early, like 6 a.m. on Saturday morning. I'm sure she's discussed this with Nathan, but jumps in the car, takes a road trip down to Charleston or up to the Outer Banks, or maybe even up to New York, and she just chills out and does her own thing. And she's alone and just gets some alone time in her own brain so she can, reacquaint herself with good old Haley James. That's what I'm thinking.
And that does sound like you, because on the last Q&A, I think you said sort of your ideal. I think the question was about you having a different job, but you said sort of an ideal scenario for you would be in a cabin, remote in the woods, alone, writing, which is not that different from what you just said.
Yeah, it's so true. I'm an introvert, man. I like being able to go and get a dose of people and connect. And my friends are so important to me. I love the spontaneous. I was taking the dogs for a walk yesterday. My neighbor drove by, and I was like, "Hey, you want to join me?" She said, "Yeah." Pulled over, jumped out. We had a walk with them. We stopped for coffee. Then we had ended up having a 2-hour morning and talking about our lives and our relationships. And it was just so great. And I love that kind of connection. But I also want to live in a world where everyone leaves me alone and I don't have to ever speak to anyone. But that's just maybe my own insecurities or something.
Were you always like that, or is that more of a since you became a parent thing?
No, I was always like that. I always felt like the odd man out, and it was just so much work to try it, because I'm also really sensitive. So I feel everything. I feel everything in a room. Everybody I'm talking to, if they're, whatever they're projecting, if I'm getting the projection of like they're having a really bad day, but they're acting like they're having a good day, and then my body short circuits because I'm like, what do you need from me right now? Do you want me to play with you and pretend like you're having a good day and we'll just act like nothing's wrong? Or do you want me to reach over and grab your shoulders and be like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Obviously something's wrong. and I don't know what to do. And so I mentally explode. It's a lot of emotional work for me to be out in public dealing with people. So I think I would, do you feel that way at all? I feel like you've got an introverted
100%.
streak.
I realized, I don't like concerts, and Jenny loves concerts. And for her 40th, I surprised her with tickets to see the when Jay-Z and Beyonce were on tour together.
Fun.
And I was dreading it. And, and so I ended up just looking at like, what's my problem? Because I enjoy music, and I realize it's because I am so trained to constantly be reading everyone's energy around me that
Yes.
I don't ever feel safe, or it's not even safe. I'm constantly like, I'm vigilant. I'm on alert. So it's like, that guy got loud. Is someone going to respond to that guy? And that person just got pushed. Is this about to be a fight? So I'm never really relaxed and in the moment. I'm constantly just on the lookout.
I feel that so hard.
So that's why I'm just like big events like that. I'm like, I'm good. I don't want to do that. I always thought I was an extrovert my whole life until I actually started to get to know myself. And I think I am more of an extroverted introvert, or like an introvert who, cause like I do enjoy like conventions.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I can do it. It's tiring, but I enjoy it. I enjoy interacting. However, at the end of that day, I really like to go back to my room and not be spoken to.
Yes.
And be left alone so I can recharge the batteries.
Yeah. Yep. I can relate to this. The next question is from Marcus, and he asks, if your character had the opportunity to give a TED Talk, what topic would he choose to speak about, and what message would he want to convey? Like, is he teaching us about how to recharge our batteries? Is he talking about sports? Like, what's Clay's deal? Clay's TED Talk.
No, man. I think Clay's TED Talk is on grief. Yes. And I think his message is, you grow through what you go through. Because I think we see over the course of the 3 seasons, he tries it both ways. He tries ignoring it. I think we've even, up to this point, we've already heard him say, it doesn't matter how fast you run, the pain always runs faster, or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So I think his talk would be centered around sort of be embracing your grief, befriending your grief, get to know it, feel it, let it happen, and let it change you.
I like that.
How about Haley?
I thought about this. Haley's TED Talk, I think, is actually on anger and processing anger. Because as I've thought back on all of Haley's episodes and all of her stuff, she seems to have this underlying streak of she's just a little bit angry with the world, hence the slapping everyone, I guess, all the time. I think she's got a really intense sense of justice, but she also likes to give people the benefit of the doubt, and she's got a controlling streak of just wanting everything to be in place and be perfect and like, let's not rock the boat. And so when there are unexpected events, it elicits this frustration in her. But it seems like as the years went on, she got better with dealing with it and accepting that life is a bit of a mess, and learning how to go with the flow. And being a mom, I'm sure, was a huge part of that. And I think it would be really interesting to hear specifically Haley's talk on how to process like latent anger that's creating frustration in your life into moving into a space of like just freedom from that.
Yeah, she grew. She evolved. I think it would be great if that TED Talk opened and it was just pitch black, and then on the giant screen was just a montage of all of the people you have open hand slapped. And then you walked out on stage and you were like, anger. That would grab the audience.
Dude, should we do this at the next convention? Like character TED Talks, like 5-minute character TED Talks?
Oh, gosh, that would be so funny. That would be so funny. All right, next question up. Morgan, One Tree Hill is my favorite show ever. I've seen each episode about 10 times, except for the series finale, which I've only watched once because it makes me too sad to watch it again.
Aww.
Relatable. Do you guys have a favorite show that you watch over and over again and never get tired of? I feel you, Morgan, because especially in times when I was struggling, I would really lean into just keeping my favorite TV shows on in the background 24/7. The moment I woke up, I would hit play because all the episodes would have finished and it would have gone back to the main menu. And I would keep it on anytime I was in the house until like I went to bed. Sometimes it's because I love the show. Sometimes it was just because I was like lonely and sad and wanted the voice, these familiar voices in the background.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing with The Office. I think I've watched the finale one time and then I just was okay. I don't need to I don't need to see that again.
Know that again.
I don't want closure. I would say my shows, my ones on repeat, 30 Rock, Parks and Rec, Detroiters, Arrested Development, and The Office.
Nice.
How about you?
Frasier.
Ooh, wow, really?
Always Frasier. I just love that show. The physical comedy is so smart. The combination of absurd and highbrow is so great. Like slapstick and highbrow humor mixed together is a very difficult thing to achieve, I think, to make it really work. And it works. Anytime it's on, I can't ever really turn it off. Although what I will say about this whole thing that you're talking about, Morgan, about only watching the finale once, I actually have a habit of not watching the finales at all of shows that I love. I'll watch everything, but when the last episode is there, I just don't tune in. I tell myself I'm saving it for a rainy day. And then when there's been enough distance between me and the show and I've sort of grieved the loss of the characters and there's nothing new anymore, then I'm like, I don't need to go back and see the end. It's okay. I'll just leave it where it is.
I think that makes sense because for a lot of reasons, but one of which is it is very, very hard to wrap up a series.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a pilot is very difficult to do because you have so much world building to do that it's a very tough task to make a good first episode of a show. Mm-hmm. However, especially if it's a beloved show, I think it might be even harder to wrap it up in such a way because it's like, what are you trying to make the people happy? Are you trying to be the best storytelling? Because you're really like, look at Seinfeld.
I was just going to say
that we were so excited and that happened and everyone was just like, WTF.
We were so mad.
It was so disappointing.
It was.
This also, how I was saying, I love predictability. I read that one reason people will rewatch shows so many times is because of the predictability.
Yes.
Because they know what's coming and there's comfort in knowing what's coming.
Yes.
And that resonated with me.
Yep. And we've said that about our show all the time too, the sort of comfort food element of it. Like Kraft mac and cheese is whatever. Like I could never eat it again the rest of my life, except that it's comforting because I know exactly what it tastes like. I've been eating it since I was a little kid and there's something about, or like peanut butter and jelly on crackers, like whatever, I'm fine. But I want it because it just makes me feel safe.
You know what I'd be curious to know is, did One Tree Hill stick the landing?
That's a really good question. I don't know how fans feel about the last episode of One Tree Hill. I mean, I tend to walk away, I think, because I like the idea of the possibility that there's still more coming. And when you watch the closure of something, it really is very final. And I remember our last episode did feel very, it's everybody hugging in the cafe and everybody, it felt very final. So I'm curious how fans related to that. We'll see.
What do we got next? Becca writes, imagine your character is given a magical wish that will only affect their own life. What would they wish for and why? Great question, Becca. I have one locked and loaded for this. Do you want me to go?
Go.
I think Clay would wish that he never forgot about. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to this and you haven't watched the series yet, stop. Fast forward about 60 seconds because I'm about to give a spoiler. Okay. Now that all of those people have left the room, let me tell you, I think Clay would wish that he never forgot about his son, Logan. Because it's tricky. He can't wish that Sarah never died because then he never meets Quinn.
Yeah.
And So I think it's just that he never forgets Logan and hasn't lost all of that time with his son.
I totally forgot about Logan.
So did Clay.
Yes, absolutely. There's no other answer for Clay. Of course, you would not want to forget about that. In case y'all have joined back in, I don't want to.
Okay, and welcome back, everybody who didn't want to hear that spoiler. What would Haley wish for?
Haley gets a magical wish that only affects her life. What does she wish for? I think it's kind of back to the original question of what do you do with your free weekend. I think Haley wants the magical ability to freeze time and just go into her shell, go do whatever she wants, and then come back and push play again and be back in life with kids and husband and friends and all that.
Small Wonder style.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like, what was the one, Evie with her 2 fingers? Ding.
That was Small Wonder.
Wait, that was Small Wonder? I thought Small Wonder was the robot with, what's her face? Punky Brewster.
You might be right.
Wait.
I thought, the girl who could touch her fingers together was the one I was trying to
Out of
reference.
this world. Would you like to swing on a star? Yeah. I was like, yeah. She froze time. Yes, that's what I want.
Apologies to all of our listeners who are 30 or younger for our dated references, but it was a really great show in the 80s.
Do you know I tried to find that on YouTube and watch a couple episodes with Maria? She liked it for a little while and then we kind of got over it. But it was funny. Her dad was an alien that like lived in a little box, or maybe he spoke to her through a little box on her nightstand. What a weird show.
I remember nothing except that she could freeze time, but that's a great one.
Okay, Kayla asks, growing up with Disney and rom-coms, it made finding love something of a fantasy. Oh, we're getting deep here. Perhaps with a few unrealistic expectations. Being actors who create these fictional romances, has that played a role in how you view love and your expectations when you choose or chose your partner? How do you separate real from a fantasy love story?
Tell 'em, Joy.
I wish I had the answer. I mean, this is the reason why there's so many location ships, because actors keep falling in love with each other in sets, thinking that it's real when it's maybe not, but sometimes it is.
Location ships. That's so funny. Why have I never heard that term?
You haven't?
No, I'm familiar with the idea, but location ships? No, that's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah. It's an interesting question. I mean, I like that she says growing up with Disney and rom-coms, it made something of a fantasy. But the interesting thing is, I don't know that that's exclusive to kids that grew up with Disney and rom-coms. I mean, I think that's since Hollywood started, actually probably since books started being printed. I mean, their love stories and these fantasies, these ideas of epic, all-encompassing love stories have been told to us since the beginning of time. Like that's an age-old story, and probably for a good reason. But then we're getting into existentialism and God and all that. So we'll stay with this, which is Hollywood. And I don't know. I mean, I think it's certainly made it more consumable. The idea that there is some kind of perfect, easy love out there. I don't know, man. We get on set and I talk about this actually a little bit in my book, Dinner for Vampires, out October 22nd. Shameless plug.
Organic plugs.
Yeah, because my marriage was in a really bad place, but I was going to work every day pretending to be in a really happy marriage with Nathan. And it was a little bit of a mind screw, to be nice. It was weird to go and like have my body speaking and acting as though I was really happy and in this lovey relationship with someone who I was friends with, but there was no, we never had anything romantic between us. But then to go home and not have that with the person I was actually supposed to, it's really strange. And I don't know if I have a really good answer for you, Kayla. I mean, it's hard. It can be really hard.
Yeah, my answer is not exciting because the truth is, how do you separate real love from a fantasy? I don't know. It's always been easy in my real life. I've never I've never thought like I should have it like one of my characters.
Yeah.
Maybe it's also because I came to acting late. I didn't start acting until I was in my close to my mid-20s. So I had already sort of, been around, been in relationships, had an idea of what it looked like before. Yeah, outside of like you said, the location ships, which it is different because you're in this bubble. Like, listen, you're spending 13 hours a day. Like usually like your male lead, they're going to hire a hunk.
Yeah.
Okay. You're going to spend 15 hours a day with him for 3 weeks straight. Every day, his hair is going to be perfectly coiffed. He's going to be wearing a really handsome outfit that flatters him. You're probably going to be saying words to each other where you're laughing and you're holding hands. It really is. It is just a breeding ground for emotion. Plus, if you're an actor, like maybe you let a little piece of yourself fall for the person just so that it can be that much easier to find the work and be honest.
Yeah.
So it's that
That's
could be
tough.
tricky if you are available to that kind of energy or that, but otherwise, no, it's not that hard to separate them from me.
If you're in a relationship, that's why you have to be clear about that energy and know what you're like. If you're going in and the other person's single and you're single and you're like, maybe this will be the start of something. This could be fun. Like then you know where you're at. But going in, if one of the people, if you're in a relationship where the other person is, you got to be very vigilant about keeping it clean, like keeping the energy really clean, and you do what you have to on camera. But when you go back to your chairs, you're not opening yourself up to that or trying to get something out of the other person. You're just being professional. But I've never been in a scene and said lines and been like, I wish my real life partner would say these lines. Like, you're saying lines, but it's just all the stuff in between, not necessarily what the characters are saying or doing. It's all the in between set stuff that can sometimes get confusing, I guess.
Grace writes, as someone who has been working in the film industry in Wilmington the past 5 years, do you keep in touch with any of the local crew or below the line folks?
Aw, hi, Grace. I love that you're in Wilmington working on film. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, one of the things about being on a crew or being an actor in particular, and not because a crew really lives in one place and they work on lots of different projects and they all work together and stay connected. The actors, we're used to moving all over the place all the time. You get really close with people really fast, and then you're off to another project and you have to spend all your time getting really close to those people really fast. And it can make it difficult to maintain really strong friendships with people. But yes, there are several crew members and people that back in Wilmington that I talked to and met, people who weren't even working on the show that I met while I was out there that I stay in touch with and love. Yeah, just it depends on how long you're there and how much time you guys are able to spend together. I don't know, Rob, I mean, you were there for, was it 3 or 4 years? Like season 7? It was 3 years. Okay.
7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
I don't. Social media makes it easier.
Yes.
I don't like exchange phone calls with anybody, but on social media, there's a few people that we send messages back and forth or comment on each other's posts.
Yeah.
So in that regard, yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
This next question is from Jenny, and I can't be certain it wasn't my wife, so let's just assume it was. What is the reason behind no theme song intro throughout the whole season 7, and then using other artists to cover songs through season 8? Do you guys know? I read this and I have no idea. Do you, Joy?
Yeah, I'm sure they just didn't want to pay royalties to Gavin. They were probably just trying to save money. Somebody was like, let's just not run a theme song at the top of the season and we don't have to pay it. We don't have to pay him. So that's probably it. I don't know whether the use of covers, they probably had to also pay less. Like they still have to use the song, so they have to pay for the song. But if you've got somebody else covering a song, the license is probably different.
And by this point, that Gavin DeGraw song was so imprinted on this show that you didn't need to play. Like I said, every episode I start to hear the theme song. It doesn't need to be there anymore. So honestly, it wasn't a bad business decision because I'm sure that opened them up to buy more songs, more higher price songs throughout the episode. But
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that song.
And also, it gave time for more advertising too, because, an opening credits, 15 seconds, 30 seconds. And if they cut that, then they can use that time to sell ad space, or they could make the show longer if they need to make the episode longer and things like that. Yeah.
That was another thing that was I'm so old, but that was another thing that was great about shows in like the 80s and the 90s was that they hadn't wised up to the fact that they could cut theme songs to make advertising space. So back then, like Golden Girls, I know every word to the Golden Girls theme song. There were shows, Cheers. There were shows that had absolute bangers as theme songs.
You look forward to it every time. Well, ours was one of them.
Yeah, ours was a good one.
I love that song. Gavin, any song of his I love. Okay, here's our last one. Claire is asking, why do characters always wear their shoes in scenes at home? For example, in season 6, episode 21, Haley is sitting on her couch with her feet on the coffee table wearing heels. I know any woman would take their heels off as soon as they walk in the door. You are not wrong, Claire. You're not wrong. The truth is, several things probably. We're on a set, which means the floor is a little bit dirty because there's cameras rolling around and people walking around in their shoes and dirt shuffling in from outside. And so that means that every time I walk across that floor, if my shoes are off, my feet get dirty and I put them up. And guess what? Now all you can see on camera are dirty feet. Gross. Then they've got to come in with the wipes and wipe them off. Secondly, I don't want my bare feet on camera because people are creepy. Mm-hmm. Thirdly, heels make my legs look better, and I probably was just being a little vain and wanted to not have to go flat-footed and have my hips pop out the way they do when I'm not wearing heels.
Appreciate the honesty.
A little bit vain. And fourthly, we have to constantly reset. So depending on what kind of shoes those were, taking them off and putting them back on takes up time on the other side of camera. And nobody got that time. We ain't got that time.
I also think this is a situation that is not unique to One Tree Hill. I think this is something you see a lot, like in TV shows, especially TV shows, because the schedule's so much faster, But I think there's a lot of shows where you see people at home and they do things like this, where you think, who does that? Like who these days still has their tennis shoes on and puts them on their coffee table? Yeah. What? Gross.
Yeah. But
on that note, thanks for joining us, friends.
I hope your shoes aren't on your coffee table right now, friends, listening to this podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for listening.
Don't forget to leave us a review. You can also follow us on Instagram at DramaQueensOTH.
Or email us at dramaqueens@iHeartRadio.com.
See you next time.
We're all about that high school drama girl, all about them high school queens. We'll take you for a ride in our comic girl, cheering for the right team.